Right now at 5, a man is hospitalized after a shooting in downtown Joplin.
Our temperatures continue to warm across the area. Unfortunately, the wind gusts continue to increase right along with that. Take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, Oklahoma's governor announces a plan to bring sports betting to the Sooner State.
The 4 States' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 States, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. It is finally Friday.
Yes,
here
it
in the
is,
4
Chris.
States. You got any big weekend plans?
My fiance's coming to town.
Hey, all right.
Excited
See,
about
that's
that.
a good thing to celebrate.
How about you?
Well, wife and I have a little getaway tonight, just the two of us. We've been looking forward to it for like a month. We've had it planned because it is so hard to plan when you have kids because you have to make arrangements for everybody to be somewhere. And oh man, sometimes it's easier just to stay at home and tell them to go outside. So
TGIF.
you guys outside for the next 3 or 4 hours and we'll relax for a minute. But we're going to have perfect relaxing weather this weekend as our temperatures continue to warm across the area. Right now, though, not looking too bad. We've got clear skies, a few clouds out there, and temperatures, they're chilly, I know, but they're still warmer than where we were yesterday, and they're a lot more seasonable. 45 in Joplin right now, 41 over in Pittsburgh. Kids getting on the bus for this finally Friday. Much better, still chilly, but much better. 44, we could see some wind gusts up to 25 miles an hour out there this morning with sunny skies. But by this afternoon, winds really start to pick up. We're talking gusts up to 35. Some of us may see gusts to 40, so do be prepared for that as well. We could see a few clouds, especially in our northern counties. Otherwise, still clear skies, mid-60s out there by 3 o'clock. So again, that gives you any idea as to what kind of day we're looking at here. That's right about where we're supposed to be. May go a little bit warmer than that. Some of us, especially west of 75, could even reach 70 degrees today. We'll have those clear skies again, a few clouds here and there. Most of the clouds should be confined to our northern counties out there. May sink as far south as, say, 126. But otherwise, another beautiful day. Our weekend is shaping up to look great. The rain chances we've been talking about are still on the way. We'll look at all of that in your full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Police have a suspect in the case of an afternoon shooting in Joplin. It happened on the 1800 block of South Main. Police were called to investigate a report of a shooting with at least one victim, a juvenile male. Police believe the injuries are not life-threatening. Authorities say a suspect, also a juvenile male, was arrested without incident. He has been turned over to juvenile authorities. Investigators think they know the cause of yesterday's house fire in Joplin's North Heights neighborhood. The call came in around 7 yesterday morning. First responders saw smoke coming from the roof of a home on North Byers. Officials say it was an electrical fire, and they determined it was accidental. No one was hurt. A crash in Barton County, Missouri yesterday morning claimed the life of a Nevada woman. Authorities say 67-year-old Diana Shopper was traveling east on Northwest 40th Road when she ran a stop sign and hit a pickup traveling down Highway 43. Shopper was killed at the scene. The driver of the pickup was not injured. Newton County is paying the city of Neosho $370,000 to settle a dispute over TIF payments. TIF stands for Tax Increment Financing. In 2021, the city of Neosho filed a lawsuit alleging the county withheld TIF money owed to the city since 2015. That money was supposed to go to public improvement projects. In April of this year, a judge ruled in favor of the city, saying the county needed to restart payments. A hearing was set for this month to determine how much money must be paid, but the two parties agreed to settle instead. However, the settlement price of $370,000 is significantly less than the alleged amount due of $917,000. Oklahoma's governor announces a plan to allow sports betting in his state. Governor Kevin Stitt says the plan announced yesterday would allow Oklahomans to place in-person bets at gaming sites operated by federally recognized tribes, protecting tribal investments in brick-and-mortar facilities. The plan would also allow Oklahomans to place bets on their mobile devices on a sportsbook licensed by the state. Those bets would be taxed at a 20% rate. But pursuant to updated tribal gaming compacts, retail wagering can be conducted by federally recognized tribes, taxed at a 15%. Those bets would only be accepted in person. Governor Stitt says, quote, "I promise Oklahomans if we pursued sports betting, we would do it right, and this plan does just that." 35 states, including Kansas and Arkansas, already allow sports gambling. The Air Force JROTC program in Neosho brings together nearly 150 students. Last night, they celebrated the fall season at the roller rink. KOAM's Anthony Saviallo has more.
A packed house at the roller skating rink in Neosho as JROTC students take over.
I like turtles.
And what's roller skates without a few tumbles? And what's JROTC without a few crazy kids? Despite the goofs and gags, the lessons these kids learn and the roles they learn to play in society is stressed by Chief Jeremiah Brewer.
It's like when you go out on your own, how do you deal with people? How do you it's a cadet run course, and so they have to work with each other and learn how to, when they go to a job, how do you deal with another employee that maybe you don't get along with? So they get to learn that now, where most students don't get that.
And after lessons taught by Chief Brewer, it's always good to blow off some steam, even if that means a little chaos ensues.
Join ROTC! And most of these kids, like you see it, it's like a family. But, when they come into the class, almost none of them know each other. And then they do so many events, and all our events are like community service events.
And for these kids, the relationships they build will help them develop even further.
I don't normally get to go out and do fun things, and it just makes me happy to be here with all my friends.
They're good friends, and they always have each other's back.
Well, one thing's for sure, these kids are having a ton of fun, and there's plenty of tumbles happening. It's just a good thing I'm not on skates. Reporting in Neosho, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
The Air Force JROTC does volunteer work throughout the community, and Tehi are also accepting donations. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Pitt State football goes on the road for the final time in the regular season. We have the details. Plus, why Pope Francis is planning to go to a United Nations climate summit in Dubai. And we have a warm and windy day. We'll have what to expect from Chris in the Skywatch Weather Center. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back.
Thursday, Friday night. The biggest games. The biggest.
Well, the Pitt State football going on the road for the final time in the regular season. Second-ranked Gorillas going to St. Joe to play the 23rd-ranked Griffins of Missouri Western, and PSU knows it'll be in for a dogfight.
They're going to give us their best shot. They do some of the things they like to do is just scheme up things and kind of disguise things to make it look like they're doing one thing and they come out and do another. They're going to come up with something new, I'm sure, like they've done every other game this past year. But I think our offense will be ready for that, and it's kind of like a chess match, just going back and forth and answering for what they have.
They're a really good football team. They're playing at a high level this year, playing at a different speed than even what they were last year when they were beating us at halftime. So we have to play 4 full quarters of really good football to have the opportunity to come out at the end.
Well, the Gorillas could clinch a second consecutive MIAA championship with a win this Saturday. Bring you all the post-game reaction regardless of the outcome, as well as the highlights Saturday evening right here on KOAM. Well, it's the final week of the regular season for the high school football in the state of Oklahoma. Quapaw was at home yesterday evening trying to bounce back from a 1-point loss at Wyandotte last Friday. Quapaw senior night, players and parents honored before the game. Wildcats taking on the Hulbert Riders. First drive for the Wildcats as Austin Lake is going to throw to Zane Stand, and he does the rest. Stand uses his speed as he goes untouched into the end zone. 6-0 Quapaw. So we're going to go to the next Wildcat possession. Kyle Forbes, he's going to be on the move. He's able to keep his feet in bounds as he crosses the goal line. Touchdown, Wildcats, 14-0. Quapaw. Holbert didn't have much luck on offense, and there's one of those reasons why. Zane Stan laying the hit on Jose Deckard, who fumbles. Colton Neal recovers. Wildcats with the football again. So we go 4th and long. Austin Lake is running around just trying to buy some time. A rainbow pass right to Zane Stan. This guy, he can do it all. Touchdown, Wildcats. Quapaw going up 22-0. Later in the game, Wildcats leading 29-0. Ethan Ellis throws over the middle, and Colton Neal has the interception. Another turnover, which leads to this play as Will Miller takes the handoff, stays inbounds, and dives for the goal line. Personal foul on Holbert after the play. Quapaw cruises the rest of the way in this one. Wildcats beat Holbert 51-8. Important night for two of our local soccer teams as well. College Heights and Webb City have a district playoff match yesterday evening. Cardinals playing for the right to earn a spot in the championship. The Cougars are already there. Starting first with College Heights. Cougars win the Class I District 7 championship over Lone Jack yesterday evening, 5-1. Next up, College Heights will face Maryville a week from Saturday in the quarterfinals of the Class I state tournament. Still some other district tournaments to sort out. The Cougars will be one of the last 8 teams standing. Meanwhile, Webb City is in the semifinal yesterday evening at Branson, and the Cardinals take care of business as well. They beat Willard 2-0 yesterday evening to advance to the championship match, which will be against Central on Monday evening at Branson High School, 6 o'clock. Well, still to come, we'll tell you why prescriptions for weight loss and diabetes drugs are rising across the U.S. And we're going to take another look at that warm and windy forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Hey, football fans, we know there's nothing.
Watch Elise Snowy this weekend on KOAM News Now.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 517 on this finally Friday here in the 4 states. And boy, we have a lot of reasons to celebrate. 1, it's Friday. 2, it's warm. 3, we get an extra hour of sleep this weekend. Perfect weekend out there. First, let's look outside. You can see his camera shaking a bit. Wind really blowing out there. It's our camera on the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. MoDOT camera, 32nd and range line. I always like to see. We can't see. Sometimes, when it's windy enough, you've sat at the red light before. You can watch these things bob up and down. And how the bolts that fasten those things on there can handle all that stress all the time is just mind-boggling to me. I mean, I know they're built to do that. It's just kind of crazy. I don't know many other bolts or screws that can hold something that's just weighs a ton and is constantly doing that in the wind. KDOT camera 69 and East 520th Avenue south of Pittsburgh, also looking good. Doing great from our camera at 7th and range line. 45 degrees, mostly clear skies. And because the breeze is blowing south of 15, does feel like 38, so it's a little bit of a chilly start across the area. However, otherwise, these temperatures right about where we should be. 41 Pittsburgh, 45 Parsons, 46 in Chanute and Yates Center, 44 Neodesha, 43 Chetopa, 41 Miami Grove, Monette, 44 Carthage, and 42 Lamar and Neosho. And as you can see, that temperature anomaly has corrected itself again. And we'll have to just wait and see if it comes back later this morning or not. But we at least right now know that it's working just fine. Going through the morning, we warm up nicely, but it is also going to be very windy. This is the day we're talking gusts upwards 30, 35, maybe for some of us even upwards of 40 miles an hour. We're going to be in the mid-50s by 11. And as I punched all these numbers in, they are all almost exactly 10 degrees warmer than the temperatures that were in here yesterday. Highs today, mid-upper 60s, and again, some of us could even go low 70s. Partly cloudy skies. A few clouds mainly in our northern counties, and that'll be the case. Mostly clear for the rest of us through the evening, and we're going to fall back above average tonight into the low 50s across the area, but we're still breezy, winds gusting 20, 25 miles an hour out there. Then we look ahead, warming trend continues, and as we mentioned at the beginning of this, and we've been mentioning all week because we don't want you to forget, set your clocks back tomorrow night. 1 hour. It's going to be great. Get that extra hour of sleep. 70, 71 on Sunday. So an absolutely gorgeous weekend. Mostly cloudy Monday. Shower chances next Tuesday, Wednesday. Temperatures, though, look at this. Monday and Tuesday, well above average as we get close to 80. But that next system coming in will start to bring our temperatures back down to at or slightly below normal. Back into the upper 50s, low 60s heading toward the end of next week. Our overnight lows, of course, will follow suit. They'll be a little bit below normal or right at. However, over the next few nights, with our temperatures going well above normal, that also means, of course, we don't cool off as much at night. And so we're looking at pretty decent overnight temperatures as well. Upper 50s, maybe even a couple of lower 60s in there as we go through the weekend and into the start of next week. That's a quick check of your forecast. We've got Health Watch headed your way right after this.
Family.
Topping Health Watch this morning, prescriptions for weight loss and diabetes drugs are rising across the U.S., and it's causing a huge boost in sales for two pharmaceutical companies. On Thursday, Novo Nordisk, the company behind Ozempic and Wegovy, reported a 29% increase in sales to $8.4 billion for the third quarter. Eli Lilly, the maker behind the diabetes drug Mounjaro, reported a 37% increase to $9.5 billion during the same time period. Both Ozempic and Mounjaro are injectable prescription medicines intended for adults with diabetes, although both are often prescribed for weight loss. Wegovy is used as an obesity treatment, while the injection medicines have been proven effective for weight loss. One study suggests that people taking the drugs may be at higher risk for serious digestive problems. And the Food and Drug Administration is proposing to ban the use of brominated vegetable oil, an additive found in some sodas. The FDA says it has concluded that brominated vegetable oil, or BVO, is no longer considered safe after animal studies showed that it was toxic to the thyroid gland. BVO is used mostly in citrus-flavored beverages. California banned BVO last month, becoming the first state in the U.S. to do so. The ingredient is already banned in Europe and Japan. The FDA will be taking public comments on the proposed ban through January 17th. In 1970, the FDA removed BVO from the list of substances that are generally recognized as safe. As a result, many beverage companies began to reformulate their products to replace BVO. And in Texas, a family is extra thankful for their rescue dog, who they say had the purpose in their lives. The canine saved their teenager's life during a severe stroke. Stephanie Whitfield has the heartwarming update.
All right, can you do a hug?
This border collie's name is Axel.
Hug.
Amanda Tanner says the one-year-old rescue was meant to be part of her family. A couple months ago,
So he jumped on my bed, was kind of like aggressively trying to wake us up.
It was around 5:45 in the morning. She thought he needed to go outside.
So my husband walked all the way to the sliding door, but Axel did not follow him and just stopped in front of Gabriel's door.
Gabriel is her 17-year-old son. We now know he was in his room panicking. He had fallen. His vision was fuzzy and he couldn't feel his right arm.
And then I just found my dad, and that's when I knew something was really wrong, because I tried to talk to him and I started slurring my words.
His doctor at Memorial Hermann says the teenager was suffering a large left-sided stroke.
He could not speak, he could not understand language, and he was nearly paralyzed on the right side of his body.
Over the last couple months, the senior at Klein Oak High School has made great strides in speech and physical therapy. One reason is he got medical help quickly that morning. That's thanks to Axel, who's earned as many treats as he wants.
To me, it's godsend. Axel is one of 9 puppies that was found. He's the one that no one wanted. He's the reject. You know, he was meant to be a part of our family. He had a purpose, and he's going to continue to have a purpose.
Important signs of a stroke include trouble with balance, vision, speech, and also weakness in the face or arms. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, we are keeping an eye on a warm and windy day out there. Not much going on in the weather department for the next 2 or 3 days, but we got some rain on the way. We'll talk about that in your forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Good morning, I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy with your KOAM News Update. Police have a suspect in the case of an afternoon shooting in Joplin. It happened on the 1800 block of South Main. Police were called to investigate a report of a shooting with at least one victim, a juvenile male. Police believe the injuries are not life-threatening. Authorities say a suspect, also a juvenile male, was arrested without incident. He has been turned over to the juvenile authorities. In a crash in Barton County, Missouri, yesterday morning claimed the life of a Nevada woman. Authorities say 67-year-old Diana Shopper was traveling east on Northwest 40th Road when she ran a stop sign and hit a pickup traveling down Highway 43. Shopper was killed at the scene. The driver of the pickup was not injured.
We got another warm and windy day out there. Temperatures mid-upper 60s, maybe even some lower 70s, but wind gusts 35, maybe even 40 miles an hour. Could go partly cloudy. More clouds expected in our northern counties. They'll be brief, but they'll be out there. Mostly clear skies through the evening, so a stray cloud here or there, and warmer than average tonight as we fall back into the low to mid-50s. Of course, don't forget to set your clocks back tomorrow night before you go to bed. Otherwise, look at this. Warming trend continues, staying in the 70s, upper 70s heading into next week with rain chances both Tuesday and Thursday of next week.
Us mode. Set your phone for human connection at US Cellular.
Right now at 5:30, how high school students in Uniontown, Kansas brought back their school newspaper after more than a decade out of print.
And we've got a chilly and breezy start to our Finally Friday in the 4 states. We'll talk about that warmer weather in your forecast to get you out the door coming up.
Plus, a Joplin organization is making sure babies in the NICU don't miss out on the value of stories.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 5:29 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. It is Friday in the 4 states,
and
boy, it's starting to feel a little more like spring than fall as we head into this upcoming weekend.
Thank goodness for that.
Man, that last system last weekend.
Too cold.
Just came in, did that right
Came
to
in
us,
hot,
knocked
right?
us down. No, it came in cold. Knocked us out cold. There we go. Because gosh darn, we are 20, 30 degrees below normal for a good portion of this week. Now we're going to go about 10 degrees above normal. Let's take a look outside real quick. This is our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. You can see the flags on City Hall. They are blowing in this wind because it is quite breezy out there. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line also looking pretty good so far this morning. We got clear skies, maybe a stray cloud here or there, but otherwise not too bad. 45 in Joplin, 41 in Pittsburgh, but of course with a breeze, that does make it feel a little cooler out there. Kids getting on the bus this morning, sunny skies, some gusty winds pushing 25, mid-40s out there, sunny skies. Then as the bus brings them back home, take a look at these temperatures at or just a pinch above normal by this afternoon, mid-60s. However, the winds are going to be the new story, gusting to 35. Some of us could even see gusts upwards of 40 miles an hour out there, and partly cloudy skies with a few more clouds expected in our northern counties, at least for a brief period as we head into this afternoon. So we warm up nicely. We go from 44, 59, 66 by 3, 63 at 6. Highs today, mid-upper 60s across the area, so an absolutely gorgeous day out there, but breezy for sure. And of course, I can't emphasize it enough because it's been a long week, okay? It's been a really long week. So don't forget to set your clocks back 1 hour. If for any reason you're up at 2 a.m. on Sunday, then you can do it then. Otherwise, make sure you do it before you go to bed Saturday night, or you're going to have a really awkward day and a very odd Monday as well. We're going to have another complete look at your forecast, talk about these above average temperatures that are on the way, plus our rain chances here in just a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, yesterday was a celebration of the Day of the Dead. Locally, some Hispanic and Latinos found ways to celebrate their heritage, even being far from their home country. A Carthage woman, for example, put up an altar in her living room. Pictures of her loved ones who passed away, their favorite drinks, and foods and flowers featured the ofrenda. The Day of the Dead is also a way of keeping the memories of loved ones alive.
We grieve throughout the year, but this is a happy day. It's not a sadness. We honor, we remember all the good memories that are left behind.
But what makes the bread special in itself, it's all the tradition, all the celebration. It is part of the celebration of the Day of the Death in Mexico.
The bread Giovan Salas is referring to is pan de muerto, the bread of the dead. The round orange-based bread is said to bring back sweet memories of loved ones. And Pitt State yesterday celebrated the Day of the Dead with a showing of the Disney movie Coco. It was hosted by the student organization PSU Hispanics of Today. The showing was open to students as well as the entire community. Students at Pitt State also hosted a dino-rific, terrific day of play. It was hosted by the university's therapeutic recreation program. The goal of the event is to provide a chance for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to try out different activities with recreational equipment. Some of the equipment includes hula hoops, parachutes, and kickballs.
Hands-on experience is extremely important for all of our students, whether they're in our major or not. Just having those opportunities to work with people that they may not see on a regular basis helps them to open their eyes to other opportunities that they may do once they graduate from Pittsburg State.
The day of play was held at PSU's Plaster Center. After 14 years, Uniontown High School has now a student-run newspaper teaching them the foundations of journalism. The newest issue of the Talon is now available online and in print. Students say they took inspiration from the old issues and realized newspapers are like time capsules. The original newspaper died out in 2008 due to lack of interest from students. Now that's changed.
Well, it was kind of cool when I brought it back to my house. My uncle was there and he was in the newspaper back when they were doing it, so he was like, oh, yeah, that's cool.
The next issue of the Talon is set to be released before Christmas break. A Joplin organization is making sure babies in the NICU don't miss out on the value of stories. Soror Optimus International of Joplin donated $500 worth of books to the Ronald McDonald House. Those books will then go to the NICU at Freeman Hospital. Parents and volunteers will be able to read to the babies there, which experts say can help build language skills.
Reading to your child helps their cognitive development exponentially, and it also helps with the bond between the parent and the baby. They know your voice, it provides a lot of comfort, and it also starts teaching them about reading and stories, and just really helps with their development.
Sir Optimus International also donated $500 to St. Mary's Elementary School for playground equipment, $2,500 to the Creative Learning Alliance's Capital Campaign, and $2,500 to the Boys and Girls Club's Smart Girls program. The Joplin Public Library partnered with the Quapaw Nation to honor Native American Heritage Month. The post-art section of the library now features an exhibit with Native art and cultural items from regional artists and collections.
I'm blessed to be able to put my pottery on display, and hopefully people are going to come in and say, wow, Quapaws, where did they come from? Who are they about? So it's just a way to tell our story.
Suggested doing it this month for Native American Heritage. That way we can just make people aware of the deep-rooted heritage that Native Americans have in the area.
The exhibit will be open through November. The library was also the site of the launch of Ogapa Coffee's winter seasonal blend, Beaver Springs. And that's a look at today's top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. Why President Biden hosted Chilean President Gabriel Boric at the White House. Plus, the House passes a Republican-backed standalone aid package for Israel. We'll have the latest. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Partner of Travis Kelce and his foundation, 87 and running.
Topping World Watch, migrants in Denver are hoping to phase out of shelters and find work to support themselves and their families. Rogelio Mares has more on that story.
For some, there's nowhere but here to stay. For others, the days in shelters are dwindling.
others like Maria Elise Leon Mora. She says the cold has been awful, especially because they aren't used to this kind of weather in Venezuela. That's where she, her 5- and 1-year-old daughters and husband came from. She wants to get her daughters out of the cold weather as soon as she can. She calls her family situation very difficult. Like many families, this was a trip to find a better life. Now they're looking to start that life. A tough start so far. Besides a place to live, she wants to find work for her and her husband so the family can start earning a living. Her husband, John, does find little work here and there. He says the very little he does earn is for food for his family. Opportunities for work are scarce. For some, it's a competition. John says he's looking for a job in home renovation, construction, roofing, or painting homes. Another woman using a different tactic, making a sign marketing herself and her services. She says she's looking for work to make her situation more stable for her and her daughter. She says she has a strong desire to start working. They took a gamble to get here, which was a win for them, but for these folks, there are more challenges left to meet. She says she'll take whatever God puts in her path, but she wants to start working very soon.
And Pope Francis is planning to go to a United Nations Climate Summit in Dubai. The COP28 Climate Conference is being held November 30th to December 12th. The Pope told Italy's state-run TV on Wednesday he will be at the conference for the first 3 days of December. He will be the first pontiff to ever attend in person. No other details about the trip were given. And President Biden hosted Chilean President Gabriel Boric in the White House Thursday. The two leaders discussed strengthening their economic ties and migration. President Boric also speaking about supporting human rights, saying he and President Biden have a lot to discuss regarding workers' rights. 2023 marks 200 years of diplomatic relations between the two nations. And the House passed a Republican-backed standalone aid package for Israel. The vote was for 266 for and 196 against. The bill calls for America's ally to receive $14.3 billion. 12 Democrats joined Republicans in voting for its passage. 2 Republicans voted against the measure. The legislation would also cut funding for the IRS, and it was passed despite President Biden's threat to veto it. Mr. Biden, along with other Democrats and many Senate Republicans, had opposed separating the aid package for Israel from an aid package for Ukraine. The legislation is expected to be dead on arrival when it reaches the Senate. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is meeting with Israel officials in Tel Aviv to discuss, quote, concrete steps the country should use to minimize civilian deaths. This comes as the Israeli military says it is surrounding Gaza City and maintaining its threat of a long war against Hamas. John Loring reports.
The skies of northern Gaza illuminated with flares and explosives Thursday night. The bombings, which started shortly after last month's Hamas attack on Israel, have devastated the region, leaving many sections in shambles and claiming more than 9,000 lives.
The school was bombed and we got scared and kept crying. Then we kept walking, and went to the other school. It was very horrifying. We were scared.
President Joe Biden and other U.S. officials are warning Israel that the global outcry about the humanitarian suffering in Gaza could make it difficult for Israel to move forward with its military goals.
They are making efforts to try to minimize civilian casualties. That does not mean, and I did not say, that they aren't still causing some, that their operations aren't still causing some. They are, and each one's tragic.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives passed a bill that provides more than $14 billion in aid to Israel. The GOP-led bill rescinds funds that had been allocated to the IRS and would be separate from any legislation on aid to Ukraine. However, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says the bill is flawed.
Instead, we will work together on our own bipartisan emergency aid package that includes aid to Israel, Ukraine, competition with the Chinese government, and humanitarian aid for Gaza.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
President Biden and national security officials have also increased calls for humanitarian pauses in the war so that aid can flow into the area and help facilitate the release of hostages. And that's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:46 on this finally Friday, and we've got a chilly and windy start out there, as evidenced by the flags blowing in the breeze on top of City Hall. This is our camera on top of the Cornell Complex in beautiful downtown Joplin. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line in Joplin, also showing us some pretty decent skies out there, just a handful of clouds. And second day this week, no frost on the ground from the KDOT camera on 69 just south of Pittsburgh. Bless you. Okay, there's a lot of dust in here. It's a 70-year-old studio. We've talked about that. So, it gets a little dusty after a while. We are sitting at 45 in Joplin. South breeze at 15, making it feel like 38. Temperatures around the region not looking too bad. Again, at least the air temperature. In fact, most of these are right where we're supposed to be for this time of year. At 45, Yates Center, Parsons, 44, Iola, Neodesha, 42, Fort Scott, Independence, 41 in Pittsburgh, 43s, Chautauqua, Miami, and Grove, 42 in Neosho, 45 in Carthage, and some more 42s up north, Lamar and Nevada. So we go through the morning, sunny skies, winds will really start picking up. So today, not only do our temperatures increase, but so do the winds. We can see gusts up to 35, some of us maybe even as high as 40 miles an hour out of the south, so do be aware of that. We're otherwise looking pretty good. All of these numbers, when I was updating these through almost this entire forecast, are roughly 10 degrees higher than the numbers that were in here yesterday. So 55 by 11. Highs today, mid-upper 60s out west, maybe even some low 70s across the area. Partly cloudy skies, a few more clouds in our northern counties, and of course breezy out there for sure. Heading into the evening, still windy. Winds calm down just a wee bit, back into the 25-mile-an-hour range for those gusts out there. Mostly clear skies, mild, well above where we should be as we fall back into the low to mid-50s across the area. And of course tomorrow, the number one thing about Saturday, you all at home know this, set your clocks back 1 hour before you go to bed Saturday. Unless you stay up all night, or maybe you're like an extra early riser and you can set them back at 2 a.m. All right, on Sunday morning. 70 tomorrow, 71 on Sunday, so keep in mind our average highs are here. We're going to continue to warm near 80 Monday and Tuesday. Then we see some shower chances and then more rain chances as we head into Thursday. And that's going to knock our temperatures back down to at or slightly below average. So not a big cool down like we saw last weekend, but still a little cooler. Back into the upper 50s, low 60s as we head into the end of next week. Looking pretty good by next weekend as well. Overnight lows, I love these ones for the weekend. We're going to be waking up to upper 50s, low 60s. And again, as we head into next week, they'll be a little cooler, but still not too bad. That's a quick check of your forecast. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
This winter, cross-country skiing in St. Paul, Minnesota will be different than it's been the last 50 years. One of the community's biggest advocates is leaving his post as owner of a ski shop. Susan Elizabeth Littlefield shows us how the store is changing, yet staying the same.
That's a skate ski. Yep.
When it comes to Avo's accomplishments, it's hard to know where to start. So you helped design the Nordic track.
Yes.
And then there's the Olympians he's coached and mentored.
These are Jesse Dickens sponsored skis. A pickup parent was a little late and she crashed on a crash and looked at me and said, Avo, you're going to be stuck with me for a long time. And there was something in those eyes that never seen before that showed that this young girl, teenager, is going to go a long ways.
You knew it.
I knew it.
He also knew Minnesota was the perfect place for this shop he created 50 years ago after immigrating for school. He saw this state is perfect for more cross-country skiing.
Minnesota is very much like Finland. Finland has 100,000 lakes.
So he built Finn Sisu while building community. What's been gratifying about this business?
I think in these cross-country skiers are just a tremendous group of people. I have really enjoyed the camaraderie and the attitude of these people who love outdoors and winter. They are not complaining about winter.
And after 5 decades, he says he's crossed his finish line, handing over the store to 3 longtime employees who will own the shop together, despite outside offers.
I'm guessing you wanted people who care.
Yes.
We love it, and yeah, we want to see it continue and to thrive. Get more people on skis. So yeah, I mean that's why we're here. And Avo's, he set a good example for that.
That was my goal. Improve skiing and level up performance in Minnesota.
In St. Paul, Susan Elizabeth Littlefield, WCCO News.
Avo is far from slowing down. Last season, he skied 127 days at Battle Creek Park and plans to do the same this season. He'll also spend time visiting family in Finland and helping Ramsey County build more skiing infrastructure. We'll be right back with more news after this.
If you've been injured in the 4 states community is amazing.
The last song the Beatles ever recorded was released on Thursday, decades after John Lennon wrote it and more than 50 years after the band split. Lennon recorded a demo of his vocals for the song titled Now and Then in the late 1970s. He was assassinated in 1980, but his widow, Yoko Ono, gave the demo to the remaining Beatle members in 1994. The track was then worked on by Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, and George Harrison for a year, but they couldn't separate Lennon's voice from the sound of a piano in the track. After Harrison died in 2001, it took McCartney and Starr more than 2 decades to begin working on the song again. AI was used to isolate Lennon's voice from a demo track for the 2021 docuseries The Beatles Get Back. McCartney then redid the bass, Ringo added the drums, and they kept Harrison's guitar parts from 1995. And whether you like a triple-decker club or a simple PB&J, it's time to celebrate that lunchtime staple, the sandwich. November 3rd marks National Sandwich Day. The history of the sandwich isn't exactly clear. Many people believe it was named after John Montagu, the 4th Earl of Sandwich in Great Britain during the American Revolution. Legend has it, he loved gambling so much he didn't want to leave the card table, so he'd ask his servants to just bring him slices of meat between bread. The story goes his gambling friends started asking for the same as sandwich, but Sandwich's biographer believed it came about a time-saving meal because he was so busy with the Navy, politics, and the arts. However it happened, the humble sandwich is now a mainstay of lunches everywhere, and the possibilities for constructing one are endless.
I do like how those are 2 very different stories. One, he never left the gambling table and had sandwiches made. The other guy said, no, he was very involved in Navy, politics, arts. That's why he had sandwiches to save time. 2 very different stories. It all depends on who writes them, I suppose, right? We are writing a beautiful day for you and a beautiful weekend for you. Sunny skies. Unfortunately, as our temperatures increase, so do the winds. They could gust 35, maybe even 40 miles an hour out there. We'll go mid-50s by late morning. Highs today at or even slightly above average, mid to upper 60s, maybe some low 70s out west. Partly cloudy skies, a few clouds in our northern counties, at least briefly this afternoon. Mostly clear skies through the evening, still breezy, gusts to 25 and above average tonight as we go back into the low to mid-50s. Don't forget to set your clocks back tomorrow. 70s, even near 80 by the start of next week with rain on Tuesday and Wednesday. We got a whole nother hour of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Pittsburgh's Meals on.
Right now at 6, authorities respond to a 2-vehicle crash in Barton County, Missouri.
And we've got a warm and windy day across the area as our temperatures climb. The wind speed's beginning to increase as well. We'll take a look at your forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Bless you, Chris. It's a story of survival with a happy ending as the NIC unit at Freeman receives the gift of reading.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states.
Sometimes they hit like that, okay?
Oh, man, that was
I told you
quite the
earlier
sneeze.
it's dusty in this, it's not bad. It's not like, look, this look, it's
I
clean.
just wiped this down.
I clean it like once every other week too, so it's not that bad, but
just came out of nowhere.
It was just, I felt it and I couldn't stop it. There was nothing I could do about it. Well, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Friday, Chris.
Man, it's been a long week. These cold temperatures, I think that's what's made it feel like a really long week.
It's so bad. I can't do the cold, Chris.
I
Please.
can't either. This is why I feel like we should just hibernate through the winter. And I'm all for that because the cold weather is too much. However, the warm weather is starting now and is going to stick with us for a while. Let's take a quick look at the MoDOT camera. There it is, 32nd and Range Line in Joplin, looking pretty good. A few more cars beginning to line up on the road as everyone is excited that they can get to work on Friday, because that means the faster they get there, the faster the day gets done, and the faster they get home, right? That's not how it works at all, is it, unfortunately? Nope, not at all, but it'd be nice if it did. All right, look outside, 45, Joplin, mostly clear skies. Same in Pittsburgh, but a little cooler, sitting at 41. Of course, with those gusty winds, feels a little chillier than that as well. Kids getting on the bus, could see some wind gusts up to 25 out of the south. Otherwise sunny, right around the mid-40s out there. When that bus brings them back home, not bad, partly cloudy skies. Breezier though, winds gusting 35, and some of us could even see gusts up to 40. But look at these temperatures, right around the mid-60s out there. We go through the day, and I mentioned this earlier when I was punching in the new numbers for today. These were all about 10 degrees warmer than the numbers that were in here yesterday. So not a bad day. Breezy, of course. Partly cloudy skies here and there, otherwise not bad, mid-upper 60s for our highs. We're going to continue to warm up, believe it or not, and then we've got rain chances on the way. We'll look at that full forecast here in a few more minutes. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, police have a suspect in the case of a Thursday afternoon shooting in Joplin. It happened on the 1800 block of South Main. Police were called to investigate a report of a shooting with at least one victim, a juvenile male. Police believe that the injuries are not life-threatening, and authorities say a suspect, also a juvenile male, was arrested without incident. He has been turned over to juvenile authorities. A crash in Barton County, Missouri yesterday morning claimed the life of a Nevada woman. Authorities say 67-year-old Diana Shopper was traveling east on Northwest 40th Road when she ran a stop sign and hit a pickup traveling down Highway 43. Shopper was killed at the scene. The driver of the pickup was not injured. And investigators believe they know the cause of a house fire in Joplin's North Heights neighborhood. The call came in around 7 yesterday morning. First responders saw smoke coming from the roof of a home on North Byers. Officials say it was an electrical fire, and they determined it was accidental. No one was hurt. Newton County pays the city of Neosho $370,000 to settle a dispute over TIF payments. TIF stands for Tax Increment Financing. In 2021, the city of Neosho filed a lawsuit alleging the county withheld money owed to the city since 2015. That money was supposed to go to public improvement projects. In April of this year, a judge ruled in favor of the city, saying the county needed to restart payments. A hearing was set for this month to determine how much money was to be paid, but the two parties agreed to settle instead. However, the settlement price of $370,000 is significantly less than the alleged amount due of $917,000. Oklahoma's governor appears ready to roll the dice on sports betting in the Sooner State. Governor Kevin Stitt says that the plan would allow Oklahomans to place in-person bets at gaming sites operated by federally recognized tribes, protecting tribal investments in brick-and-mortar facilities. The plan would also allow Oklahomans to place bets on their mobile devices on a sportsbook licensed by the state. Those bets would be taxed at a 20% rate, but pursuant to updated tribal gaming compacts, retail wagering can be conducted by federally recognized tribes, taxed at 15%. Those bets would only be accepted in person. Governor Stitt says, quote, "I promise Oklahomans if we pursued sports betting, we would do it right, and this plan does just that," end quote. 35 states, including Kansas and Arkansas, already allow sports gambling. A Joplin organization makes sure babies in the NICU don't miss out on some great stories. Soroptimus International of Joplin donated $500 worth of books to the Ronald McDonald House. Those books will then go to the NICU at Freeman Hospital. Parents and volunteers will be able to read to the babies there, which experts say would help build language skills.
I was in the NICU. I didn't get to hold her as much as I wanted to. There was only certain times of the day, that I could be with her, to feed her, to bathe her, and so it was really important for me to have a way for me to share my voice with her.
National also donated $500 to St. Mary's Elementary School for playground equipment, $2,500 to the Creative Learning Alliance's capital campaign, and $2,500 to the Boys and Girls Club's Smart Girls program. Students at Pitt State yesterday hosted a terrific day of play. It was hosted by the university's Therapeutic Recreation program. The goal of the event was to provide a chance for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to try out different activities with recreational equipment. Some of that equipment includes hula hoops, parachutes, and kickballs.
Hands-on experience is extremely important for all of our students, whether they're in our major or not. Just having those opportunities to work with people that they may not see on a regular basis helps them to open their eyes to other opportunities that they may do once they graduate from Pittsburg State.
Day of play was held at PSU's Plaster Center. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, it's a case of riches to rags as the founder of FTX is found guilty. We'll have the details. Plus, the city of Auburn, Maine comes together to honor the 18 victims of Lewiston shootings. And it's a welcome return to warmer temperatures, but for how long? Chris Warner returns with the answer to that question and a full look at your weekend forecast. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried has been found guilty on all 7 counts of fraud, conspiracy, and money laundering following more than 2 weeks of testimony in one of the highest profile financial crime cases in years. Errol Barnett has more.
Tonight, Sam Bankman-Fried found guilty on all 7 charges of fraud and conspiracy.
But this kind of fraud, this kind of corruption is as old as time, and we have no patience for it.
The entrepreneur and founder of crypto trading company FTX is accused of stealing as much as $10 billion in customer funds, defrauding those customers and the lenders of Alameda Research, its affiliated hedge fund. In November of last year, the company filed for bankruptcy and Bankman-Fried resigned as CEO.
Sam Bankman-Fried perpetrated one of the biggest financial frauds in American history, a multi-billion-dollar scheme designed to make him the king of crypto.
The jury of 9 women and 3 men began deliberating just this afternoon on the 7 counts that include wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering. Key witnesses against the 31-year-old included his ex-girlfriend and former roommates, who also pleaded guilty as co-conspirators.
It's also a message. It's a warning, this case, to every single fraudster out there who thinks that they're untouchable.
Mr. Bankman-Fried's legal team maintains his innocence and says they will appeal, but still, this 31-year-old has experienced one of the most swift falls from grace in modern memory. Almost 1 year since his crypto company collapsed, he is now a convicted felon, and it's not over for him yet. The government intends to bring additional charges severed from this case in a separate trial to begin in March of 2024. Errol Barnett, CBS News, New York.
It is now up to the judge, Lewis Kaplan, to determine what Bankman-Fried's sentence will be. While the charges carry a statutory minimum of 110 years and sentencing guidelines provide a type of formula, the judge has wide-ranging discretion to rule above or below that guidance. And Ivanka Trump has filed an appeal to block a judge's order for her to testify in her father's civil fraud trial until an appeal can be heard by the New York Appellate Court. Thursday's appeal asked for the higher court to pause the entire fraud trial against Donald Trump, 2 of his adult sons, and his company until Ivanka Trump's appeal can be heard. In a filing Thursday night, the court denied the motion for a stay. Last week, a New York judge ordered Ivanka Trump to testify Wednesday in the trial, denying a motion from her attorney to quash a subpoena. Her attorney argued in Thursday's filing that forcing her to testify next week presents an undue hardship, due in part because it's in the middle of a school week. Democratic Senator John Fetterman has introduced a resolution apparently aimed at fellow Democratic Senator Bob Menendez. The measure would strip senators charged with certain crimes from committees and block them from assessing classified information. Fetterman was the first Democratic senator to call for Menendez to step down after he was indicted on bribery charges. and he called for his expulsion after he was charged with acting as a foreign agent on behalf of Egypt. Mendez has stepped down as chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, but he still has access to classified briefings as a committee member. And hundreds of top military positions remain in limbo, held up by Alabama Republican Tommy Tuberville. Tuberville is blocking action on 376 nominees, protesting a Biden administration policy allowing service members paid time off to travel out of state for abortion services. Wednesday night, a dam burst among his fellow Republicans as Tuberville stood and objected to 61 straight nominees. They claimed foreign adversaries could take advantage of the dysfunction. Tuberville is now being questioned about Marine Corps Commandant Eric Smith, who was forced to hold down 2 high-level positions because of the senator's holds. And the city of Auburn, Maine came together last night for a visual to show support for the families and friends of the 18 victims whose lives were taken in the Lewiston shooting just over a week ago. Connor Clement has more.
The Candlelight Vigil in Festival Plaza, hosted by the Faith Baptist Church, saw hundreds come out in the cold to offer their support as messages of hope were shared and the names of the victims were said for all to hear.
Auburn needed this. I felt that I needed it, especially because this is where I live and this is where my son lived, and Auburn, of course, we're very proud of.
Leroy Walker, whose son Joe was killed in the shootings, was overwhelmed by that support and said his son would be too.
Yeah, he always had that little grin. Always, whenever he was going to do something or need help, the little grin would come out, and yeah, I can see him now. Joe, what a kid, and I miss him and love him so much.
A few minutes up the road, a hockey game played by the city's junior team was all about giving back to those affected most by the tragic events.
We came up with this short plan to get this together. They got special jerseys made tonight. We got the owner of Just in Time Recreation to come and also say thank you to the first responders. So it just means everything just to start that healing process and show how resilient we are in this time.
All of the proceeds from ticket sales from that event will go to the victims' families. And former NBA great and UNC legend Walter Davis has died at the age of 69. The University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill announced Davis has died from natural causes while visiting family in Charlotte. The 6'6" forward and guard leaves behind a long legacy. Davis won gold at the 1976 Summer Olympics in Montreal. The North Carolina native was the star player for the Tar Heels and played for the NCAA title in 1977. That same year, Davis was selected as the 5th pick in the NBA draft with the Phoenix Suns. He became the NBA Rookie of the Year in 1978 and was a 6-time NBA All-Star. Davis remains the Phoenix Suns' all-time leading scorer with more than 15,000 points. He retired from the NBA in 1992. And that's a look at some of today's top national headlines. Now here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a relatively chilly start out there, but still not bad. Temperatures right about where they should be for this time of year. We are going to continue to warm up and our winds are going to continue to increase. We'll have another look at your forecast here in just a few more minutes.
An Oklahoma man has been formally cleared of a conviction that kept him in prison for 31 years. Catherine James sat down with him.
What happened to me should not happen to anybody in this country.
61-year-old Perry Lott served more than 3 decades in Oklahoma prisons for a crime he didn't commit.
You should care because it could have been you.
A Pontotoc County prosecutor helped convict Lott in a 1987 rape and burglary case based on a photo lineup. However, Lott had a confirmed alibi and no physical evidence linked him to the crime.
The experience of 31 years of living in a place no larger than most people's bathroom, it has a way of humbling a man.
A rape kit was also collected in 1987, but wasn't tested until 2014.
There was no DNA in my case that connected me to the crime.
Even after DNA evidence proved Lott's innocence, Pontotoc County prosecutors refused to budge on the conviction. Instead, they offered a deal for Lott's release that would let him out but keep the conviction in place.
It's like having a gun to your head when you've been 31 years in prison. Your body deteriorating, your health deteriorating.
It took 9 years, help from the Innocence Project, and a new Pontotoc County District Attorney for Lott to be fully exonerated.
In the end, the truth will win.
He says there's work that needs to be done to improve the justice system and has made it his new mission to advocate for change.
I feel like a teacher. I feel like I've survived that for a reason, to grab the minds and the hearts of as many people as I can and let them know that hope is alive, that what I've been through didn't destroy me and what they're going through will not destroy them.
Oklahoma state law requires a conviction to be vacated in order for a wrongfully convicted person to be able to seek up to $175,000 in compensation from the state.
We've talked about it being warm and windy today, and that is definitely going to be the case. Wind gusts getting pretty high out there. Got another look at your forecast right after this. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, 6:23 now. On this finally Friday, we're taking a live look downtown Joplin from our camera on top of the Cornell complex, and the wind's still blowing out there. In fact, they're going to get gustier today than they have been the last few days, but our temperatures are also going to be warmer. MoDOT camera 32nd and range line looking pretty good this morning as well, and from the KDOT camera, it's 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh, Kansas, and our camera at 7th and range line also looking pretty good. It's been shaking every so often in the wind. We're sitting at 45, south breeze at 14, making it feel like 39. So our temperatures right now are about where they should be, but with the wind, definitely making it feel a little cooler. 41, Grove, Miami, Pittsburgh, 46 in Chanute, 43, Neodesha, Parsons, 43 also in Fort Scott, Nevada, Lamar, 44 Carthage, and 41 Neosho and Monette. As we get our morning started, we're going to have the sunny skies. Winds are going to start gusting today out of the south, around 35 miles an hour, maybe even up to 40 for some of us. So do be aware of that if you're traveling on any east-west roadways in the area, that it's going to be very windy today, but also much warmer, 55 by 11 a.m. We head into the afternoon looking pretty good as well. Partly cloudy skies, a few clouds in our northern counties. Temperatures at or even above average by a little bit, mid-upper 60s, and out west could even make it into the low 70s out there for some of us. That also means, though, with the southerly winds, the warm air blowing in, and the warmer temps, it also means a warmer overnight. We're going to be breezy still, gusts to 25, mostly clear skies, lows above average now into the low to mid 50s out there. Down the road, don't forget, of course, set your clocks back by 1 hour tomorrow. Partly cloudy Saturday and Sunday, a great weekend for us as we're hanging out in the low 70s. So again, not where we should be, but not too terribly far over. It's Monday and Tuesday. We get well over average to the tune of almost 15 degrees as we get near 80. And we got mostly cloudy skies on Monday, rain chances on Tuesday. Now those rain chances don't have a significant impact on our temperatures. However, as we go into Thursday, that system does. We're going to fall back to average on Thursday with some shower chances out there. And then after that, our temperatures at or slightly below average. So not a significant cool down, but a little cooler for sure. Upper 50s, low 60s out there. Partly cloudy skies next Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Of course, the overnight lows are going to fall back a bit too, but not by much. But before that, look at some of these lows heading through the weekend and into early next week as we get back upper 50s to near 60 for some of these overnight lows. It's going to feel fantastic out there for just a little bit before we get back again to that fall-like weather. That's a quick check of your forecast. Now here's Caitlin with Health Watch.
Thanks, Chris. Well, a CDC advisory committee is discussing new guidelines for hospitals on the spread of infectious diseases. The Healthcare Infection Control Practices Advisory Committee, or HICPAC, upset many healthcare workers when it released proposals in June. One of the most controversial is one to end the recommendation of N95 respiratory masks over surgical masks. HICPAC says its review of 21 studies shows surgical masks are just as effective. But many doctors and nurses say that's not true, and they point to other studies that say the opposite. Some of the committee members helped author an article stating N95 masks make it too hard for healthcare workers to communicate with each other and patients. And at least 14% of Americans have had long COVID, according to a new analysis of a U.S. Census Bureau survey. Researchers say long COVID is associated with anxiety and low mood, as well as continued physical mobility problems and challenges with memory and concentration. A new study finds opioid prescriptions filled by dental patients in the U.S. dropped 45% over a 6-year period. Researchers from the University of Michigan say even with the decline, more than 7 million dental patients still received the painkillers in 2022. Previous research shows most dental pain can be controlled without using highly addictive medications. And a new federal study finds e-cigarette use among U.S. high school students dropped this past year to just about 10% of those surveyed. But CDC and FDA officials say e-cigarettes are still a public health concern, as the report shows approximately half of students who try e-cigarettes say they currently still use them. For most Americans, this Sunday means the clock falls back, and that means it'll get darker earlier. As Christian Benavides reports, losing daylight can negatively impact your mental health.
When it ends,
Greg Robinson has mixed feelings about turning the clocks back, marking the end of daylight saving time. He likes that extra hour of sleep.
When I lose an hour of sunlight at the end of the day after work, I don't like that.
Neither does Alberto Parajon.
In the wintertime, it gets dark around 5 or 6. I much rather it got dark at 7.
Dr. Petros Lavonis with the American Psychiatric Association says it's not just inconvenient, the time change could affect your mental health. In a new survey, 1 in 5 Americans said they're negatively impacted by it.
This is a very, very high number of people who actually say that the change in time will give them some depression, some discomfort, some uneasiness.
According to the survey, 2/3 of adults say they notice at least one behavioral change, from sleeping more to feeling fatigued or depressed. The poll also found women are nearly twice as likely as men to say their mental health has been negatively affected by the fall time change. Dr. Lavonis warns some people may develop seasonal affective disorder.
There are also people who are going to have a more severe form of this winter blues, feeling lonely, feeling depressed, stop having interest in the things that gave you pleasure.
He recommends spending more time outdoors, even as the daylight hours decrease. Frequent outdoor exercise and taking breaks to experience the daylight are some of the ways you can ward off those winter blues. Christian Benavides, CBS News, Miami.
The survey also found 28% of people who live in rural areas say that the time change affected their mental health. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. We'll be right back. Right now at 6:30, residents here in the 4 states turn out to celebrate the Dias de los Muertos.
And we've got ourselves a warm and windy start out there. Well, okay, it's chilly this morning, but it will warm up. We'll take a look at that forecast, get you out the door coming up.
Plus, start the presses. Uniontown High School rolls up their sleeves to get busy on a student-run newspaper.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning, 4 states, and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. The time now is 6:32 a.m. I'm Caitlin O'Shaughnessy.
I'm Chris Warner. So it is Friday. We've been talking about it all morning, but you know, everybody needs to celebrate Friday. It's been a long week for
It has.
all
we deserve
of us.
This Friday.
We
We've
certainly
earned it.
do. We have earned this Friday. Our very own Shannon Becker here in the studio,
That's
hanging
right.
out, talking about lotion and good smelling boots. And I hear more about the lotion and the good smelling boots a little later. And boy, you know, where that situation happened with that truck the other day, the wind blowing out of the south, anybody downwind of that probably went outside and thought it smelled like fresh spring lilies or
Puts the lotion
Chinese
on the
highway.
Or else it gets the hose again.
We got the hose though.
It did get
Carthage
those.
Fire Department showed up and they took care of that problem very quickly. Well, we'll have more on that with Shannon, I'm sure. Lots of interesting stories from him, and we've got a really great weekend forecast for you. Let's take a look outside. MoDOT camera, 32nd and Range Line in Joplin, looking pretty good. It's a little chilly out there, and it has certainly been breezy this morning. And if you like the wind, then boy, you're going to love today. It's going to get pretty breezy out there. But in all seriousness, if you're traveling on east-west highways, we're talking gusts later today pushing close to 40 in some cases, so do be cautious out there. 45 in Joplin, 41 in Pittsburgh. Temperatures just kind of hovering there. Kids getting on the bus, mid-40s, winds gusting to 25 with sunny skies. And when that bus turns around, brings them home later this afternoon. Hopefully it doesn't do so immediately. We're looking at mid-60s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, gusts 35, and again for some of us could even reach as high as 40 miles an hour. Temperatures today at or even slightly above average as we go mid-upper 60s out there with those gusty winds. We've still got even warmer temperatures on the way, if you can believe it, and we're still watching our rain chances, and we'll have a complete look at that forecast a little later in the show. Caitlin?
Thanks, Chris. Well, yesterday was a celebration of Días de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. Locally, some Hispanics and Latinos found ways to celebrate their heritage, even being far from their home country. KOAM's Fernanda Silva spoke to them and shows us some of their traditions.
I was married for 18 years. One thing that my husband loved, he loved his bananas and beans, so I have the big traditional bananas. And because of our marriage, I have the Catrina and the Catrina. The Coco guitar is there as well because he loved his music.
Cardet resident Maria Sanchez put up an altar in her living room to celebrate the life of her husband, Carlos Sanchez, and her dad, Jose Apala. Her goal is to keep their memory alive.
I want my children and grandkids to, come and see the altar and all the things that decorate us. And, it's very important to teach our second and third generation to love our ancestors.
In a lot of Hispanic and Latino cultures, people go to cemeteries in the Day of the Dead. They clean the graves and bring drinks and food, including pan de muerto, or bread of the dead.
The round orange-based bread is said to bring back sweet memories of loved ones. Every year, El Palomito, a local bakery in Carthage, sells this special item. What makes the bread special in itself, it's all the tradition, all the celebration. It is part of the celebration of the Day of the Dead in Mexico.
My husband loved that sweet bread and the candy. That was his thing, so here we are. I made sure he had some sweet bread as well.
In Pittsburgh, Frida Herrera also made an altar dedicated to her and her husband's grandparents. She had the help of family members who were visiting from Mexico to put it up.
It was really nice to remember those days in Mexico when I was a child, to do it the oral ofrenda with my mom and my family there, so now I can do it with my son, to keep alive this tradition and keep alive our family.
While feeling connected with their ancestors, Frida, Maria, and Giovan also celebrate their home's culture in their new country. Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
PSU hosted a drive-through cinema showing the Pixar movie Coco to celebrate Días de los Muertos. They opened the event to the community, which took place at the Bicknell Family Center for the Arts. The Joplin Public Library partnered with the Quapaw Nation to honor Native American Heritage Month. The post-art section of the library now features an exhibit with Native art and cultural items from regional artists and collections.
We have a lot going on in the Quapaw Nation, and we just want people to know that we're still here. I go up and down East Arkansas talking to schools, universities about the Quapaws because that's our homeland. And I was shocked on how many people thought that we expired, that we don't exist anymore. So we're out there saying we're here to stay, and we're happy to share our story with you.
The exhibit will be open through November. The library was also the site of the launch of Ogopa Coffee's winter seasonal blend, Beaver Springs. And some good news for Uniontown High School. After 14 years, it now has a student-run newspaper to help teach them the foundations of journalism. The newest issue of the Talon is now available online and in print. Students say they took inspiration from the old issues and realized newspapers are like time capsules. The original newspaper died out in 2008 due to lack of interest from students. Now, that's all changed.
Well, it was kind of cool when I brought it back to my house. My uncle was there, and he was in the newspaper back when they were doing it, so he was like, oh, yeah, that's cool.
Issue of the Talon is set to release before Christmas break. JROTC students in Neosho rolled into a good time yesterday evening. According to Chief Jeremiah Brewer, the students are able to come together at the skating rink and blow off some steam as well as build relationships with each other. While they are currently 4 seniors planning to join the military after high school, Brewer says it's less about recruitment and more about teaching them how to be good citizens and good people.
So this is not a military class, but it has military influences. The Air Force funds it, but it just gives us a great opportunity to show them what the military is about, and we use those military influences as a way for discipline and just attention to detail and those kind of things.
Chief Brewer says there are currently 150 students involved in the JROTC program. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. It's Friday, and you know what that means. We've got Shannon Becker in studio to help us close out the week with his big 3 news stories.
And it's a little chilly this morning, and on the breezy side, winds increasing, temperatures increasing. We'll have the latest on your forecast when we come back.
Welcome back. We've got Shannon Becker in studio with his big 3 news stories of the week. Good morning, Shannon.
Hello.
So happy to have you.
Well, you'll love the number 1 story, but that's coming up.
All right, let's hear it.
We have to do it in order. 3 this week. Yesterday afternoon, about 4 o'clock, Joplin police were alerted to a shooting. Multiple shots fired. Shot out the window at the Visiting Angels, 1736 South Main. Not sure how many rounds were fired, but they did find casings in the alley in Fred and Red's parking lot. As we were doing our story live, we were alerted to police near 17th and Sargent. They were taking into custody a teen suspect who had shot a teen boy who was rushed to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The story's still developing, and we'll talk to Captain William Davis more about it today. It's breaking news. Our number 2 story last week, it still keeps on a-going. The deer in the library at McKinley Elementary School. Now we got some exclusive video. So you know, I was actually there when the deer was jumping on the window.
You, yeah.
So I'm on the outside watching the deer jump, right? Well, on the inside, my friend who's an animal control officer, he shared with me his video. So this is what was happening inside.
Stop.
It's from his cell phone. Because he got there real quick. I didn't know. I thought it was a teacher that let the deer free. But look at this. If you could hear the video, he's like, hey, stop it. Stop it.
Could you not?
And he's got some sort of stick or something. And then the deer turns around and runs out. And you can see runs all the way out.
Good job, buddy.
Right out the door.
Yay!
That's what the pros are for. That's how they do it. That's awesome. And our number 1 story, well, that is an amazing picture there my friend John Hacker took in an airplane above the crash. 40,000 pounds of Bath and Body Works lotions. We're talking the real lotions.
Yes.
It's not no knockoff. Here's your Japanese cherry blossom.
I love that stuff.
The winter candy apple. There was a lot of that too. A lot of I didn't even know the names even existed. But very valuable. Of course, it could have been gold bullion for some people. The tractor trailer driver was not injured as he crashed the other night. Delayed traffic, no joke, for 4 hours.
Oh no!
People were sitting on the highway. Even the people at the front of the line were sitting in the highway no less than 2 hours, not moving. And you can't get by when a tractor trailer is laying across the road.
That'll stop traffic. But did it smell good?
It really did. I was wearing boots, and they still smell like lotion. So I'm not sure like what lotion it is. It's just a mixture of lotion and dirt, but. M&M Record cleaned it up, and they really did. They cleaned it up fast, which people don't realize, but it was pretty amazing. And like I said, no one was hurt, which is great. But a lot of hearts were broke, I bet.
Oh my gosh! I mean, that's like your go-to for a little Christmas present.
I'm sorry,
to give
I won't be getting you a Christmas present. It was lost in this crash. Anyway, our bonus story of the week. A lot of people have been talking about the Big Biscuit.
Biscuit.
Have you ever heard of it?
No.
I'd never heard of it. The Big Biscuit is going in the former location of Panera. Panera built a new building at 20th and Main, or 20th and Range Line if you didn't know. So the Big Biscuit, no date on opening yet, but you can read their menu on our website. We've got an article there that a lot of people have been perusing. There's a look inside. You can see they're framing it out now, so it's going to be a month or more, I would say, no doubt. But they do have the signs up. They're hooking up the electricity. So that's the Big Biscuit opening. It's called a breakfast and lunch restaurant. So
Perfect.
they're open 6:30 to 2:30 daily.
Oh, that's just perfect with my schedule.
Yeah,
So
sounds
I will
great.
be a regular there.
All right, the Big Biscuit on East 32nd Street. That's your big three this week.
Those are great stories. And I got to say, we have the weirdest spills. I mean, Dr. Pepper.
Oh, I know.
We have the lotion.
I had liquor last week, too.
And
probably missed
liquor,
that. Yeah.
And cows. I mean, what else is going to spill?
I could, if I could keep some of these things from these wrecks.
Just bring them in studio.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you as always. And we'll check back with you a little later for more. Stay tuned. We got more news coming up.
All right, time for some of these finally Friday birthdays in the 4 states. We're going to begin in Erie with Caleb Yarnell celebrating birthday number 11. Happy birthday.
All right, and then we have Jaden O'Banion, who turned 17 over in Pittsburgh. She's a cheerleader at Pittsburgh High School. It says, happy birthday from your mama that loves you mostest.
And we've got Jessica Zwalen celebrating birthday number 32 in Oswego. Happy birthday, Jessica.
And happy 35th birthday to Emily Jones over in Parsons, Kansas.
And Leroy Barrett celebrating another year wiser in Columbus. Happy birthday, Leroy.
And happy 85th birthday to Lloyd Hellwig over in Columbus.
And the party is in the bus today. Dolores Highstand celebrating birthday number 100 in Columbus. Very happy, special birthday to you, Dolores.
All right, another big celebration in Columbus. It is Nate and Kate Thomas's 4th wedding anniversary. And get this, they're expecting their first child in March. Congratulations, you two.
Congratulations, and again, the party in the bus today for sure. Roger and Brandy Rush celebrating their 22nd year of wedded bliss over in Jasper. Happy anniversary to the Rush family.
All right, and now let's take it on over to Joplin, where Steve and Darlene Allen are celebrating their 51st anniversary. Congratulations.
And we've also got, well, as you can see on your TV, we've got a slight technical difficulty, but that's all right. We still have this complete list in front of us here, as we've got Steve and Darlene Allen. You did Steve and Darlene Allen. We've also got Larry and Goldie Jones celebrating their 51st wedding anniversary in Joplin.
And we have Robert and Janice Robb celebrating their 55th wedding anniversary in Devon, Kansas.
And our very own Trevor Lewis celebrating a birthday as well. Trevor is our morning news videographer. He sleeps on my couch.
Trevor,
my couch.
He pushes out our videos and he pushes our chairs back and forth and moves couches. What would we do
And then he
without
sleeps
you,
on
Trevor?
the couch.
And then he's always on the couch. Trevor, we do love you, though.
We certainly do. Okay, the list is catching up here, and it continues with Renee Hill in Parsons celebrating birthday number 41. Happy birthday, Renee.
And happy 21st birthday to Zach Collins. Love from the family. Be safe out there tonight, Zach.
And Joe Goebel celebrating another year wiser over in Arma. Happy birthday, Joe. All right, we do apologize for that brief little technical issue on the birthday graphics, but we sincerely appreciate everyone sending everything in to us, and we want you to keep doing that. And you can do so by emailing birthdays with an S at KOAMnewsnow.com. So get those messages submitted, get those pictures submitted, the anniversaries, every last bit of it. All right, our camera on top of the Cornell Complex, downtown Joplin. Clear skies out there, but still windy across the area. MoDOT camera 32nd in range line. Clear roadways for the moment. Of course, that's going to continue to change as we go through the morning. More people out on their Friday commute, and we're looking pretty good from the KDOT camera on 69 just south of Pittsburgh. In Joplin, clear skies, 45, south breeze at 14. Does make it feel a little cooler out there, feeling like 39 degrees. Temperatures around the area also looking like this. 41 Pittsburgh, 46 in Chanute, 43 Neodesha Parsons, 42 Chatopa Independence. A little warmer in Yates Center, sitting at 45 out there. 41 Miami Grove, Neosho Monette, at 44 in Carthage. As we get our morning started, sunny skies. The wind's going to start gusting 35, maybe even 40 miles an hour, so be aware of that if you're traveling today. Otherwise, much warmer. We're going to be in the mid-50s by late morning. We're going to have another full look at your forecast and the news you need to know right after this.
Here's a check of today's headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A crash in Barton County, Missouri yesterday morning claimed the life of a Nevada woman. Authorities say 67-year-old Diana Shopper was traveling east on Northwest 40th Road when she ran a stop sign and hit a pickup traveling down Highway 43. Shopper was killed at the scene. And police in Joplin have a suspect in the case of an afternoon shooting. It happened on the 1800 block of South Main. Police were called to investigate a report of a shooting with at least one victim, a juvenile male. Authorities say a suspect, also a juvenile male, was arrested without incident. And investigators believe they know the cause of yesterday's house fire in Joplin's North Heights neighborhood. First responders saw smoke coming from the roof of a home on North Byers. Officials say it was an electrical fire and they determined it was accidental. No one was hurt. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
And as you head out the door, it's a little chilly, breezy out there. Winds will pick up later, gusting 35 to 40. Temperatures at or slightly above average, going mid to upper 60s, maybe even some low 70s. Breezy through the evening, gusts to 25 and mild back through the 50s. Overnight lows above average as well in the low to mid 50s. Don't forget to set your clocks back tomorrow. We're going to go 70 on Saturday, 71 Sunday, near 80 Monday and Tuesday. Showers possible Tuesday, a little cooler by Thursday with more shower chances as well.
That all looks great, but I'm mostly excited about falling back and getting that extra hour of sleep.
Looking forward to it.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making All-American Kitchen Sink in the Mr. Food Test kitchen. Yes, I read that right. All-American Kitchen Sink.
Okay.
We don't know. Howard comes up with some wacky stuff.
He really does get interesting names. Well, your morning news also continues with CBS Mornings. A trailblazing former police chief now oversees NFL security. Coming up on CBS Mornings, how she protects fans, players, and the NFL's image.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. This morning, JROTC recruits roll into a Neosho roller rink, and KOAM's Anthony Saviello rolls into the story to tell us why.
And of course, Shannon Becker back here with his big 3 stories of the week. That's going to wrap it up for us for now. We'll be back here Monday at 5.
And we'll see you today at noon.